I guess I really don't know what Christmas is all about. Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
It's about rocking your Christmas balls off. That's what.
Oh, yeah! Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
That's right. Toxic Radio's having a kick-ass Christmas.
Frosty the Snowman.
All the way from Thanksgiving till the fat guy breaks into your house.
Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree, with all the trees most loved.
And we won't be just playing the same old songs over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, we got it. Enough already.
As I was saying, listen to Toxic Radio all season for the hardest rocking Christmas tunes anywhere. We'll rock that elf right the hell off your shelf.
Hey, what the hell?
Don't play your Christmas tunes safe. Play them toxic. Hey, buddy. Rah. Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is a place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man?
Welcome to Week 8 Wire to Wire. I'm your host, Gene Walzak, and to my right is Scholastic Shally. The man, the myth, the legend, Bill Shallcross. As you see, we're in our Cleveland jerseys. Man of our words. This is no. To my left, the person that won the bet in his front runner special, Miami Heat, Dwayne Wade, College Catrell. We got a jam-packed show today. We were going to start off with college football, but the John Wall trade hit. John Wall for Russell Westbrook, so we'll talk about that in a second. NCAA rankings, Heisman. After that, we're going to go over the playoff scenarios for each of the teams that are maybe top 6 teams that are left. Then we'll break down a little NFL. We got a lot of NFL action this week, a lot of pigskin this week. We're going to have an all-football show, but before the show, we heard that Russell Westbrook was traded for John Wall, and I wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that and kind of put that out on the show first. I'll start there. I think that the trade is phenomenal for Washington. I think it's a great trade for Washington. I think Russell Westbrook is heading into a situation that is exactly what he needs. He is surrounding himself with snipers. Bertanis, whatever, and Bradley Beal. It's perfect for him. Slash game, kick out. I think Russell Westbrook might lead the league in assists this year. Shall we?
I mean, it's definitely a good trade. I think it's Washington definitely got the better of the trade. I'm not a Westbrook fan by any means, but it makes them better. He's not as a dominant on the ball point guard like John Wall is. I would expect Bradley Beal to have a very good year this year. I'm more curious to see what happens with Houston now. I would think this is total blow up mode. I can't see any scenario where James Harden stays there now with that roster. So they're not a playoff team right now after this. So I'm curious to see where the dominoes fall with him. Well,
you say that about James. There's no way James Harden stays there, but one of James Harden's biggest complaints was he wasn't going to play this season with Russell Westbrook. So that might be Houston's way of appeasing him. I think John Wall is when he's healthy, when he's healthy, he's a top 5 to 7 point guard in the league.
Yeah, but Harden loves to dribble the ball for 20 seconds and then shoot. So
my one thing about this trade was that I really felt like this was a situation where Houston was, I guess, making James Harden happy, saying, we'll get rid of Russell Westbrook, but at the same time, I don't know how much better this makes the Rockets this year or a couple years going forward. Like, John Wall is a guy who we haven't seen in, a year and a half. He's coming off of an Achilles injury. Like, how good is John Wall going to be after all these injuries? Like, that's my biggest concern right now. And I don't think you get rid of Russell Westbrook, who has proven that he's a top 5 point guard in the league right now. And I mean, I get it. You guys, they didn't mesh well together, but with a new coach in there, I think you have to at least factor that in, and maybe you give it another go this upcoming year. You get DeMarcus Cousins, you get Christian Wood, like you kind of rebuild that team, and you don't go all in on the small ball thing. So I don't know if this trade really makes sense for the Rockets. For the Wizards, I think it makes a lot of sense. This is going to put them in the playoff race, probably lower seed, 6 to 8, somewhere in there. And they'll be more fun to watch, but, this isn't going to, put them in contention to make any noise in the Eastern Conference for real.
So I'll give you adverse to that. Let's just say they want to hold James Harden hostage, which they could do. They could easily do.
Right.
You got rid of Russell Westbrook. Hey, listen, we're trying to appease you. We got rid of Russell Westbrook. You brought in Boogie. You got John Wall. I think the Rockets, if Wall's healthy, I think the Rockets are definitely a playoff team.
I mean, you can't put any stock in Boogie. I mean, he's pretty much missed 2 of the last 3 seasons with traumatic injuries. I mean,
he's a big man that can shoot.
Same thing with John Wall.
But you don't know if he can even run anymore.
I follow that, but I mean,
I guess my questioning with the whole thing is kind of what Catrell said. You're under a 2-year gun here, so I mean, if you're going to try to appease him and keep him, I mean, I don't think there's any chance he resigns there. Right now.
Fine. Wall's got 2 years left on his deal.
So it's Harden now.
That's my point.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't think.
So if that's under your 2-year gun, and then you blow it up anyway,
right?
You take your shot that you have, knowing Russell Westbrook was not going to be, Harden was not going to play if Russell Westbrook stayed there.
Right, but
didn't work.
Knowing your best player wants out, my whole point is if they're going to start accumulating draft picks and stuff like that, then it makes more sense for them to trade Harden.
It's a protected first, by the way, too.
Yeah, I mean, but who knows what you're going to get for Harden. And there's a lot of other big names still. I mean, there's a lot of rumors Oladipo is going to get moved. So, I mean, I think a lot's going to happen the next couple of weeks before they start. And then with the news of LeBron signing the 2-year extension, I'm like, he's not going away for at least 2 years. I mean, I don't think Harden sits back and looks at it and says this is a championship, anywhere close to a championship contending team right now.
My other thing with that too is that between those 2 players, I mean, you got guards who can't shoot, who are, freaky athletic, and, they're fast up and down the court. They give you a lot of hustle and things like that. But I don't think John Wall adds that much to that Rockets team. So
wait. Did you just say between Wall and Harden you have guards that can't shoot?
Wall and Westbrook.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Wall shoots way better than Westbrook does.
I mean, it's not by much. Like, I mean,
it's definitely by a lot. That's crazy.
John Wall is not a really good shooter. Like, it's just not.
When you say really good, Russell Westbrook shoots worse than me.
Westbrook had I think statistically shooting wise, he had the worst year of his career last year.
John Wall didn't play last year. Like, I mean,
Wall still did better, not playing. I got a question for you. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna let this marinate for either one of you guys. Do you think the Houston Rockets are better constructed with John Wall if he's playing this year and Boogie Cousins and the team that they have right now, or the team they had last year with Russell Westbrook?
Well, I wasn't a fan of the small ball, so I'll go Boogie Cousins and John Wall.
Okay.
But
it's literally my answer. I'll say the same thing. I knew the small ball thing wasn't going to work.
So you're saying Houston got better?
Houston got better because they're going to have to play differently.
No, Houston got different. That's what they got. Yeah. They got different.
I asked what team was better.
You don't know.
Well, of course you don't know, but this is
you here's the thing. You keep saying Boogie Cousins. We have no idea what Boogie Cousins is right now. None.
I know Boogie Cousins 3 years ago played with Anthony Davis and was better than him.
Okay, but that was before a torn ACL and a torn Achilles. That's a big deal for a big guy.
My thing with that Rockets team is that we attach these names, Boogie and John Wall, to them. But I would have been saying the same thing if they would have got Eric Bledsoe and Tristan Thompson. Like, that team would have been better constructed than what last year's team is.
And I agree. And last year's team made the Western Conference semifinals, or Did they lose in the first? They didn't lose in the first
Second round. They
Second
lost
round,
second
yes.
round.
Western Conference semifinals.
Gentleman's sweep though to the champion Lakers. Like it's
Yeah.
And they
And
won
I think
seven
we
games
can all
with
agree the West got dramatically better this offseason.
and they won
did.
7 games with a overachieving Oklahoma City team. Like Chris Paul was great for that Oklahoma City team. Don't get me wrong. Like I want to give them a lot of credit, but the Rockets had no business going 7 games with that team.
No.
Like
Nope.
I don't know.
How bad Chris Paul want to win that series? Though?
Oh,
It was so obvious. He played his ass off that series.
he's on a good team this year. He's got a
Yeah.
really good situation right now.
He
so.
does.
I have them ranked way higher than most people do. Any final comments on the trade before we move to college football?
I think it's just really interesting to see like the rise and fall of Russell Westbrook. Like, 4 years ago, he was the MVP where he averaged a triple-double in the season, and now he's on his 3rd team in 3 years. Like, it's crazy to see how fast that fall has come.
Me and you were literally talked about that right before you got here. I said it's never good when you're considered an elite player and you've been traded that many times in your career.
So here's my bold prediction for the Washington Wizards. Russell Westbrook leads the league in assists this year, and the Wizards make the playoffs.
I will go with you that they make the playoffs. I will say he doesn't lead the league in assists because I think it's probably going to be Chris Paul.
You know what? Chris Paul, if he's second, if Russell Westbrook's first or second, I think it's a successful season for him, and I think it's perfect for him in that scenario where they run up and down the court with Washington, the way they play basketball. I think that the situation he is walking into is a million times better than the situation they left, and I'll leave it there. Let's go with the college football. College football, we had a lot of things. A lot of things happened with the rankings. It changed nothing at all, actually. Nothing changed at all.
Nothing important.
I thought Ohio State would move down by not playing, and especially with the thought of them not being able to make the Big Ten championship game, which I would concede them out of the college football playoff. But there's a lot of things going on this year with college football. Let's talk about the rankings. What were your first thoughts, Catrell?
So, my first thoughts were Cincinnati is they need help, but they're in a really good position. If normal things happen, I think Cincinnati has a good chance to make it to the playoff. If Alabama wins their game in the SEC championship game and Notre Dame finds a way to beat Clemson, even if they have Trevor Lawrence, then that 4th spot's going to be up for grabs, and it's going to be Cincinnati's for the taking. So, that was kind of my big takeaway from that.
Scholastic Shally?
I think it was a really bad week for Ohio State.
I agree.
I think Cincinnati's only chance to get in is if Ohio State doesn't end up playing enough games or they don't make it to the Big Ten championship game because they're not eligible.
So you think a 2-loss Florida or 2-loss Clemson makes it in over
I'm talking
Cincinnati?
about 2-loss, but I'm saying they still need that to happen. Like, obviously, if Florida loses in the SEC championship game, they're eliminated. It doesn't matter. My point is, if they beat Alabama,
Gotcha.
they're 100% in. Alabama's not coming out, and
They're not going to beat Alabama. But my question for you would be this, because the big question would be is if Notre Dame beats Clemson, the 4th spot, if Notre Dame beats Clemson in the ACC championship game, the 4th spot will be between Texas A&M, who did not play in the SEC championship game, and Cincinnati. And I think they give it to Cincinnati, in my opinion.
that's going to be really interesting.
I don't think they can give it to Texas A&M based alone on the fact that they already played Bama and they got their doors blown off. Like, you don't want to see that matchup. I get it. You don't want to see Bama Cincinnati either, but you got to give it to who's most deserving.
I would say out of the top 7, Texas A&M has the least amount of chance of getting in.
Yet they still sit 5.
I think that's because of you have to. It's the politics of it, and you really have to watch. And this has been true every year. You really have to watch what they do with the teams 5 through 10 that they know have games left against other ranked opponents. They set those conferences up to succeed. Like Florida, Texas, they're going to keep Texas A&M there in case Florida loses, which they're probably going to do. That is going to give them an outside shot of getting in still. And that's the part of it that people do not like. Like Texas A&M shouldn't, like Catrell said, they shouldn't get in or be eligible for that 4th spot because they have a bye. But if you put them down 7th or 8th where they probably should be, you can't say, oh, you guys were idle this week. Florida lost. Ohio State didn't play. They didn't have enough games in. Oh, we're moving you up 4 spots when you didn't play a football game. Can't do it.
Well, that's fun. We can do playoff scenarios. then. So let's go over playoff scenarios for each team.
Okay.
So Alabama is pretty simple. They win, they're in. They win all the way to they're in. And I'll give you a second one. If they lose to Florida, I still think they're in.
Oh, if they lose to Florida, they're 100% in. I would say Alabama has two very easy paths to get in. If they make it to the SEC championship game, they're in.
I agree.
They're not. Even if they lose that game, they're not falling out. They're not going from 1 down to 5 or 6. That's not happening. The second scenario would be is if they lose somehow between now and then go win the SEC championship game, they're still in. Alabama
But
is.
see, your question there is watch, ready? Ohio State sweeps the board. They go undefeated, okay? And let's just assume they play Michigan State. They play Michigan. They win both games. They go to the Big Ten title game. They win that game. They're undefeated. They sweep the board. Clemson beats Notre Dame. So now you're in a scenario where it's Alabama.
It's still the same 4. It's a different order.
Okay.
Listen, I've been very consistent with that.
Because if Florida beats Alabama.
Oh, you're saying Alabama losing the championship
correct.
game.
What team is the odd team out in that scenario? Because that's a huge, fun scenario to talk about.
I think it's Notre Dame.
I think it's Ohio State.
You think undefeated Ohio State over a one-loss Notre Dame?
Notre Dame's resume is better.
How? I mean,
your whole thing is they don't have a loss. They haven't played anybody.
I mean, you could say the same thing about Notre Dame. Besides, I mean,
not true.
They're
not true.
The only team
they beat Clemson. They beat North Carolina.
They beat
ranked North
Clemson
Carolina
with their
team.
backup quarterback. Like,
well, we have to see how that's.
Ohio State beat a ranked Indiana team.
Indiana. Your whole argument is Indiana. That's all I hear from Ohio State. We deserve to be in the playoff this year because we beat Indiana.
You could argue.
Just stop.
So who's
it's
better
silly.
between Indiana and North Carolina when Indiana was at
on a neutral field? That's a really good game. And that's how bad the Big Ten is this year. I've been consistent with it since week 1. The Big Ten is terrible.
I get that.
Terrible. And then last week.
There's no way they leave an undefeated Ohio State out. I'm asking you.
I'm telling you.
Ohio State wins.
They've already shown you. They've already shown you. They put a one-loss Clemson team ahead of Ohio State
with their backup quarterback. Like we got to keep putting that in.
Correct. You have now an Ohio State team who's beaten nobody. Your only decent win is Indiana, and their resume is going to go down because Penix is done for the year now. They're going to go to Wisconsin this week and get the doors blown off of them.
Well,
it all matters.
I get that.
I'm telling you, that's why you have to read between the lines with these rankings. They're already showing you they are giving themselves leeway to keep Ohio State out of this playoff. You keep saying, and the other thing is, I'm telling you right now, if Notre Dame goes and plays Clemson and it's competitive and they lose, Notre Dame's not coming out of the top 4. That team is absolutely 100% going to the playoffs.
I don't think so.
You're all right.
I think is going to end up happening is I think Alabama ends up beating Florida, and that's that. But
it does take away a lot of it.
Florida somehow beats Alabama in the SEC title game, you can't not let them in.
That's the chaos.
And that's what makes it fun. I want to see it happen.
Ohio State is the biggest Alabama fans in the world right now. Because again, if you put Florida's resume up against Ohio State, Florida's the better football team.
I just think it's going to be really tough for them to have 4 one-loss teams over an undefeated Big Ten team.
This year, it can happen. And I said that last week. I said a normal year. Ohio State sitting there 12-0 with a Big Ten championship in their pocket and everything else. Yeah, they're a shoo-in for the 2 or 3 seed, and I would never argue that. It's not this year. And again, then Northwestern goes to Michigan State and loses. That kills Ohio State.
I agree.
It was a bad weekend for Ohio State.
I agree.
You don't know if they're going to even play Michigan next week. So if they don't, they're going to sit there at 5-0. They might not have enough wins to get in. I don't think. I don't think you can make the argument that if you have a 10-1 Notre Dame with 3 or 4 top 25 wins, and their only losses on a neutral field are Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, and it's competitive. Again, if what you said before is true, if they go, I think that game's in North Carolina somewhere.
Yeah, it's in Charlotte.
In Charlotte, if they go at Panther Stadium, I guess. Yeah. If they go there and lose by 30, that's a different conversation. They go lose that game 30-20. 33-23, they lose, a 7-10 point game. They're not coming out of the top 4. They're 2. So you're going to say they're going to go from 2 down to 5 for losing to the number 3 team with their best player back? It's not going to happen.
I will say that game is, I don't know if they're going to allow fans in that stadium or not, but that's only like a 2-hour ride from Clemson. So if they do allow fans, that's going to feel like a home game for Clemson. And so
depends who the governor is. I won't get in politics.
I think it depends on.
Yeah, there won't be fans in that game probably then. Because that is, yeah.
Clemson is just. I think Clemson is a better team than Notre Dame.
But who does that help though?
If what?
You play your scenario out. So if that does become a de facto home game for Clemson,
Yeah.
and Notre Dame does keep it close, that's better for Notre Dame. That's bad for Ohio State.
I don't think it honestly. So I got it right now. Is 5 teams control their own destiny.
Okay.
Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Florida. And the simple answers are: if they win, they're in. So if Florida runs the table, they beat Bama, they're going to make the playoff. I think it's the same thing with Ohio State. If they run the table, win their conference championship, they're going to be in. Clemson, if you win the ACC, you avenge your loss when your quarterback's back, you're going to be in the playoff. Notre Dame, same thing. They're going to be undefeated ACC champions. They'd be in. Same thing with Bama, undefeated SEC champions. They make it in. I just see that really it's a 6-team race for the playoff right now. I don't think Texas A&M has a shot. Like
I'm going to give you a shout. I wrote one out just for fun.
LSU upsets Alabama.
It's got to be crazy.
It's not crazy. That's actually very, very sane.
For Texas A&M? Because I'm with him. I think Texas A&M has no shot.
I got you. Ready?
Go ahead.
Ohio State doesn't qualify, which is very feasible.
It's probably going to happen. Go ahead.
They don't qualify. Florida ends up losing to Alabama.
So it eliminates Florida. Go ahead.
Eliminates Florida. And Cincinnati trips up on one of their games.
They only have 1 game left.
They lose. That's the way Texas A&M gets in.
I don't think that. Oh no, they have 2 games left.
That's how
I would say this: Cincinnati would have to lose because I can't remember who they're playing this week. But then next week they play Tulsa, who's ranked. So I think if they do run the table, and even that's the rest of that scenario.
But if
plays
they
out,
lose to Tulsa next week,
they would have to lose. I agree with you. Yeah.
And if they lose, A&M can get in without playing in an SEC title game. That'd be crazy.
I don't know.
That would be so bad because
who would get in?
I just don't think Texas A&M is like
I don't know.
on the level of any of these teams.
I agree. Brandon is on the wire line. He keeps commenting. I love it. Clemson offense is slightly better than Notre Dame's defense is outstanding. You sound like a Notre Dame fan. Just guessing. He does. Clemson's.
I mean, he's not wrong though.
Clemson's offense isn't slightly better. Are you wild? Are you like watching the same football I'm watching?
Slightly is probably not like the best word, but I mean,
that's what it says. I'm reading what it says.
It's not like night and day though.
So do you think Notre Dame's defense is just night and day better than Clemson's? No.
Notre Dame's defense is definitely better than Clemson's.
So I think Clemson's offense is a bigger gap with Notre Dame's offense than it is Notre Dame's defense versus Clemson's defense.
I would tend to agree. It's close though. Like I'm saying,
that's what he said. I'm reading what he said.
All right.
Okay. Notre Dame does have a really good defense, but let's not forget DJ put up 40 plus points on the defense.
I'll make this super easy.
I'll make
this super easy. Neutral field. You tell me what you think. Neutral field this year, these teams. Notre Dame, Ohio State. Notre Dame's probably the favorite.
Oh, I don't agree. I mean,
small.
That may be my
3.5,
bias, but
4.
I don't agree. Like,
I think it's a pick 'em.
No way.
I'll tell you why I think it's a pick 'em. And I think Notre Dame should be favored right now.
I would love it to pick him because I would actually bet on Notre Dame.
Justin Fields makes such a difference because he's such a name and people love to bet on Ohio State and they love to bet on the name. And you got to understand.
Notre Dame, name. I hate their fans.
Justin
I'm just
Fields.
saying. Yeah, it's fine.
And Ohio State.
That's fine. Justin Fields struggled with a mediocre Indiana defense. He's played nobody close to the caliber of that defense this year.
I'm telling you what I think the spread would be. I think it's going to be a pick 'em.
If you'd have picked a game, who would you pick to win?
Ohio State.
Okay.
I'm a big Justin Fields guy. Yeah.
So you're picking them because of Justin Fields, not because you think they're the better team.
I think Justin Fields will will them to victory.
All right, so now I'm like really hoping that Bama runs the table, Notre Dame runs the table, Ohio State can play their game, so we can see that 2-3 matchup. Like as much as I wanted to see Trevor Lawrence against Justin Fields, I want to see this Ohio State team against that.
I got
Notre
news
Dame
for
team,
you.
and
There's not a snowball's chance in hell that Notre Dame's winning that game. Trevor Lawrence plays.
And I agree
There's
with
not
you.
a snowball's chance in hell.
And I agree with you.
That Clemson
and Notre
loses that
Dame's
game.
not going to make the playoff. Like I think
that's where I think you're going to be wrong. I think, and again, I think them being 2 and solidly locked into 2, and then go beating and looking good doing it, beating a North Carolina team. And I heard too that their game next week is canceled, so their last game is going to be this week, and then they're going to have a week to prep for Clemson.
Why do you have so much stock in North Carolina, but Indiana is just like, what did North Carolina do to make them this
okay,
great
but that's
team?
I think because North Carolina, I'm going to try to answer it for them. I think because North Carolina is the 3rd best team in the ACC, and
no, they're the 4th. That's exactly my point. Miami's better than Miami beat North Carolina. That's my point. Like, for instance, if you guys, this is how bad the Big Ten is. Stick with me here. If you guys don't qualify, like if we can't field a team in 2 weeks, and I have bad news for you from everything I'm hearing from the guys I know that still live out there and run the team, we're not playing in 2 weeks. And we have too many skilled people that are just not. They're just not going to be cleared.
And I'll get that.
But my point is, if you guys don't qualify, you're going to have a 4-2, maybe 4-3 Indiana team go to the Big Ten championship game against probably Northwestern. That is how bad the Big Ten is.
I mean,
you just can't get away from it.
He makes a solid point. I think the only way Ohio State doesn't make it, though, is if they don't qualify. I think if Ohio State runs the table, I think that you can't have 4-1 loss teams.
If they're sitting there 7-8-0 with a Big Ten championship, that's a completely different discussion. They're what 4-0?
Yeah, 4-0.
I'm not putting a team in that's played 4 games and they're only decent wins in Indiana. I'm not.
I follow you. But I told you that I think that they beat Michigan State this week, and I think they beat Michigan next week.
I'm telling you,
Michigan chicken's out of the game.
No, don't start. It's not there at all. They bailed out of a game last week against Maryland. Stop it.
Scared.
No, I mean everybody knows how that game's going to go. I mean, it's not like it doesn't benefit us at all. To bail out of it.
So the Heisman race, is it a 2-dog race or a 3-dog race?
2. It's 2.5 for me, because I think Lawrence, Lawrence would need 2 or 3 more of those games like he had last week, like 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. He would need 2 or 3 or more of those to get back into it. I still think it's a very, very solid Mac Jones versus Kyle Trask debate, and I think it's going to come down to the SEC championship game. I really do. I think they vote the week after that. I think whoever really shows up that game, I think determines probably wins the Heisman.
So for me, I got to say they're going to probably invite four people to the Heisman showing. And, those 4 people, Mac, Kyle Trask, Trevor Lawrence, and I think they will invite Zach Wilson just because he's the small school guy, and he probably has the best numbers out of the 4. But it's really a 2-dog race. I think it's between Mac and Kyle right now, and I think I'm going to roll with Mac. Just because, he's got the weapons, he's got the numbers. They play LSU this week. He's probably going to put up 6 touchdowns on them. I think he's going to start to pull away with.
You better respect Mac Jones, bro. You've been against him all year.
It's not against him. I just don't. I think because you guys are way, way bigger college guys. I'll fully admit I'm way more of a pro guy. So, why I watch college football is it's entertaining. It's football. But I love to watch players try to project to the next level. And the thing about Mac Jones is I just don't think he projects at all to the next level.
Mac Jones goes to the end of the first round.
I hope not. That means 6 quarterbacks go in the first round.
5 or 6, depending on, yeah.
That's a wild amount.
The only reason it was funny because I looked at it today and everybody, because the big thing is everybody wants to know what both him and Trask project to in the next level. Then everybody has Jones late first, early second. Trask probably on the higher end is probably mid to low 2, but maybe the second day pick.
When you watch both of them with the eye test, you don't think Kyle Trask looks better? I'm not saying that he's going to win the Heisman Trophy, but I watch both of them. I mean, weapons. Who got that? Alabama.
I mean, that's debatable though.
Why?
I mean, dude, Florida's got what are they, 3rd or 4th best offense in the country?
It's not Kyle Trask.
As is now without Waddle.
Brad Atkins on the wire line just said Jones goes top 10. You're crazy.
That's
You're crazy.
Jones is.
Love you, Brad, but you're crazy.
At best, QB4.
I think he's at least QB6.
Yeah,
no,
but six probably goes in the first round this year. It's gonna be a weird first round.
At best, for me, he's QB4. That's why I don't think he cracks top 10. But
no, he's going top 10.
As is now with Jalen Waddle's hurt, right? It's not
done for the year.
Yeah. So as is, comparing those 2 offenses, it is close. But when Alabama had Jalen Waddle, I think it's really fair that Alabama had better offense
most of the year.
It's the 3rd game
middle
missed,
of the season,
I think. Yeah.
Okay.
We still got Devonta Smith, who is by some people, everybody has either him or Chase at the top of their board for wide receiver.
Right.
But he's one of those. He's not like I don't want to say typical Alabama QB, but like the old kids that were just like, oh, like they were like Trent Dilfers, like distribute the ball, don't make mistakes. Like if you watch him play, he is athletic, he has a decent arm, he makes very quick decisions, he's very fast, like he's a very smart quarterback.
Well, it's really funny how Nick Saban finally got on board with actually getting NFL ready quarterbacks. He was just thought he could just win by defense for all those years, and he did. He won a lot just with defense.
He had to.
And game managers.
He had to adapt. I mean, you started seeing, you know, as bad as he was in the NFL, Johnny Manziel was a very good college quarterback. You know, you had Deshaun Watson. I mean, those are the guys, and I said it last week too, those are the guys that were giving his offenses trouble. So he's like, if I can't stop him with 8 of these guys going in the top 2 rounds in a month in the draft, you know, I need to get me one. And then, you know, they went and got Jalen Hurts. They went and got Tua. And now they're back to, you know.
I think if Mac Jones wins the Heisman Trophy, it'll be because of the Alabama defense. And my point being is I think that it will be because the Alabama defense is going to make Kyle Trask look a little bit worse than Mac Jones does in the SEC title game. And that's my point. I think that Kyle Trask is the better quarterback.
That's okay. I disagree.
Okay. So do you disagree next level he's a better quarterback?
I think it's close.
I
think they're very similar. I think here's the thing again, and that's going to depend on the situation. Even if Jones goes end of the first round where he's projected, he's going to somewhere where they have a solidified quarterback already.
Yeah,
like he's not going in there to start. He's not going to Jacksonville. Like he's going to go to like Baltimore. Like who knows? Like it's it'll depend on the situation. I don't think either one of them are ever like all pro quarterbacks, but I think it's a weird draft this year with skill players. I think it's not a deep lineman or like defensive lineman draft, and I think a lot of people are going to go higher than they probably would in a normal year.
So I'm going to just go out on the stop it. Jared Kern's on the wire line. Ian Book, Heisman winner.
He's no shot of winning it. He's no shot of winning it, but he's and again, that's part of the Notre Dame thing too. Like everybody's like their defense. Their offense has kind of found their stride, and he's played really well. I mean, he had a great game against Clemson. You could say what you want about Lawrence not playing, but he's still going to play against the same defense.
I agree.
He had a very.
He's not going to even get invited.
No, but I think him and Justin Fields, I would say, are probably the first 2 people left off the invite.
So since Justin Fields really doesn't have a chance anymore, I'm just going to go out on a limb because it seems like you guys both are on Mac Jones. I'll go Kyle Trask for Heisman.
Okay.
I'll go Kyle.
That's fair.
I think we both said he has a chance to win it.
No, well, you guys both are predicting Alabama and Mac Jones, right? Who's your prediction?
Mac Jones.
Let's not sit on a ledge.
It is. I'm not sitting on a ledge. I said it 5 weeks ago.
Okay,
I said it was
fine.
Mac Jones, and I got crap for it.
You didn't get crap for it.
I did. You were like, oh, yeah, you did. Go up. Yeah, you did. I've been consistent with Mac Jones from the get-go.
I know, because you're a closet Bama fan.
I'm
It's
not.
fine.
I hate Bama. I can be unbiased.
Can you?
I can?
I can.
Well, all right.
I'll go Kyle Trask. Anything else, NCAA, before we move forward?
I mean, what do we have left?
That was it. It was just playoff scenarios is what we talked about, and I think we basically broke it down. I mean, I don't think there's any. So, like, well, if we go through it again, Alabama wins, they're in. Alabama gets the SEC title game. They beat LSU, they're in.
Correct.
Okay, so that's easy. For Clemson, it's pretty simple. They have to beat AC. They have to win out to get in.
I think all the fun is with the 4 seed. I think the other 3 are locked in.
Clemson's not locked in. They lose twice.
No. Sorry, Clemson has to win. If Clemson,
okay, so
but we all agree Clemson's winning that game.
So Notre Dame,
as long as Notre Dame doesn't get blown off the field,
they're in.
They're in. That's me. That's my opinion.
Notre Dame loses that game
by 30. Then it's a different story.
30.
I don't either. I think it's a close game.
I think if they lose by 10, they're out.
No, that's crazy.
Well, they're not going to be out unless Alabama loses to Florida.
And I agree with that. Yes.
Okay.
They won't be out unless Alabama loses to Florida.
Because you can't keep Florida out then.
Correct. Ohio State needs to play in the Big Ten title game.
They need to play this week and next week, and then that gives them the 7th game,
and they're in,
and they can at least again. And I'm 100%. If they get
and
to
they
7,
need to win all 3.
If they get they cannot lose. Yeah. If they get to 7-0, and they can at least sit there and say they're the Big Ten champs. As bad as the Big Ten is, that will keep them ahead of Cincinnati and anybody else.
And Texas A&M, I give you the weird scenario for them since I really broke this down. Florida would have to lose to Alabama, which is very conceivably could happen. Ohio State would have to qualify, which very could easily happen. Notre Dame would have to beat Clemson,
which could happen.
And then A&M gets in if they win out.
I want the chaos, so I'm with you though. On that
The
one.
one thing that I want
Florida to win.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like in the rankings, if Clemson were to win, I feel like they would move. Not Clemson. Well, yeah, if Clemson won, I feel like they'd move Notre Dame down to 4, and Ohio. If they actually played their whole schedule, Ohio State would be 3, and I feel like the committee wouldn't want Notre Dame and Clemson to play for the first round of the college football playoff.
They wouldn't. Notre Dame would be 4, then they'd play Alabama.
Yeah, so I think.
So I get my Lawrence versus Fields, but just in the early game.
Yeah.
In the prelims.
Yep, just like last year.
I'm good. I'll take it. I want to watch that game so bad.
I wasn't all about it as much as you guys were at the beginning of the year, but I definitely would have liked to watch it. But I don't think it's a close game now. No, I think Clemson destroys them.
I think that Justin Fields will put on the performance of his lifetime and keep that game close. I don't think they win. But I think
it's at least a 10-point game.
I will say this: I'm not
probably 13.
I'm not all out on Ohio State and their defense just because of one bad game.
One,
I get the yeah. What do you mean?
They've only played one decent offense. That's why everybody's alarmed. Do you really have confidence that they're going to go on the field against Trevor Lawrence and that offense that we've done nothing but praise now because they're going to destroy Notre Dame? And you think with how they've shown you playing this year, you've any confidence they're keeping Clemson under 40?
I don't think you have to keep Clemson under 40 to beat them. 2.
Well, wait. How many points do you think they're scoring?
Ohio State could score with any team in the country.
Ohio State's not putting up 40 on Clemson.
That's where I think
that over under will be fun to watch. Over under,
it's going to be in the 60s all day. It's one of those things where they're like, they hype it up, and then like at the end of the first quarter, it's 17-14. And if you took the under, you're just like, rip my ticket up, like it's just over. It happens all the time when these teams get in these playoff games. It just becomes a track meet.
I can't wait. I hope to see it. Let's see what we got going on. I guess we'll retouch on a lot of this stuff next week. Michael Robert Lafferty said, which quarterback has the best chance for success in the NFL? That's a no-brainer. It's Trevor Lawrence.
It's Trevor Lawrence, and 2 is Justin Fields. I mean, honestly, in defense of your boy, I pray to God he doesn't end up in Jacksonville. But one of them, it's most likely one of them's going there.
I mean, honestly, I pray that Trevor Lawrence doesn't land up in New York. So I mean, it's just one of those things.
I think Trevor Lawrence going to New York might be the greatest thing to ever happen in New York.
To New York. Yeah.
Forget just New York. Even for professional sports, New York needs. I'm sorry, but the NFL is better when New York has a good football team. I hate New York. I'm an Eagles fan, but the NFL is better when New York has a good football team.
No, it's 100% true. I mean, it's
just better.
It's no different than
the Knicks. Same thing,
right?
Well, it's even the same thing with like college football. If there's 10, it's a better year, like regardless of who wins. But like if you like Tennessee's in that boat. Like Tennessee's been terrible for a decade now, but football in the SEC is better if Tennessee's good. It's better if you've Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, teams that have huge fan bases are good. It's just better for college football. You're at the end of the year, you're going to see all those teams in the top 10, and then every weekend you're turning on 5 versus 6, like 2 versus 8. Like
right.
You're just getting great games. It's just better for the sport. It's 100% true.
Michael Robert Lafferty, one more comment that he made is, do the Eagles draft a wide receiver or a linebacker? And I'm going to answer that question with,
as long as Howie's not drafting it, I don't care what we do.
To be continued. So let's move on to NFL. Obviously,
wait, we didn't pick them.
Oh, we didn't do pick 'em. Okay. College pick'em game. I'll go first because you two are battling now for number 1 spot.
Got it.
I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs.
The Horned Frogs?
The Horned Frogs.
One of the coolest mascots in college football.
At home, plus 2.5.
And who are they playing? Baylor?
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. I actually kind of like it. I think they might win that game.
Horned Frogs. Scholastic Shally.
I'm going with my main man, Frank Hackett's Liberty Flames, plus 11.5. Playing Coastal Carolina, who's 9-0. I believe they're ranked 20th, I think. Somewhere right around there. Liberty was ranked till they lost They lost to North Carolina State last week, 15-14, and ironically had a field goal to win it. Almost the same exact scenario as Virginia Tech, and it got blocked again. No timeout to save them this time. I think they're a very under the radar, like sneaky team. I think it's going to be, if you're going to bet that game, other than Liberty, bet the over. I think they're going to go up and down the field. But Liberty's played a way harder schedule. I mean, they beat Syracuse, they beat Va Tech. They're more of an independent, so they play teams for different conferences. I just plus 11.5, I think is crazy.
Okay,
so that's where I'm at.
College Catrell.
So I've gone back and forth with so many of these college football games, and
so bad this week.
It's like literally all over the place. And I told you guys before the show that I'm staying away from the Big 12, but I think I'm going to actually cave in, and I'm going to take Baylor at 21.5 at Oklahoma. It's just the game. Baylor, they haven't won many games this year, but they haven't looked bad in many games this year either. And it's just one of those games where it's probably going to be a high-scoring game. You know, Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma, like, they like to score a lot of points, but I don't see them losing by 21.5 points, even though they're on the road. And especially because neither team really have anything to play for. So I think it's just going to be one of those games. It's a rivalry game. Like, they're just going to play hard. And Baylor, I mean, I like Oklahoma to win, but I think they'll probably cover that 21.5.
If we come in here next week and Baylor wins that game outright, I'm giving him a crown.
That's fine.
When he takes a dog plus points, I feel like they'll always hit.
I'm with him. I don't think they have any shot of winning the game. I will tell you, you're probably going to sweat that though.
I know I am. I know
like
I am.
that's not going to be like third quarter. Like, okay, like I can turn this off. Like I'm safe. Like you're going to sweat it. Like
I think in the game's tied in the third quarter, you couldn't turn it off.
I mean,
because the way
I don't know if I
teams
turn it
score in the
off,
Big 12.
but I'd be like, I'll go do something else for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Big 12 is one of those. I mean, it's one of the trickiest conference to bet on with anything, just because like
They're all
if you
the
bet
same.
the over under, if you bet dogs, like anything can happen in the Big 12
Big 10,
any given week.
Big 12 it's maddening how like they're all the same team. Like they're all like they look great one week. They all at the end of the year all have that one loss that you're just like, what the hell happened? And then you have to sit there and like sort them all out. And then Oklahoma yells the loudest, and they put them in the playoff, and they get smoked.
Yep,
it's the same thing every year.
I agree. Now NFL. So we're wearing our Cleveland Browns jerseys here. We lost our bet. We're wearing them. That'll be an easy spot to start with our one of our games of the week. The Cleveland Browns are playing at Tennessee, playing the Tennessee Titans. Since the resident Browns fan is here, the only one not wearing a Browns jersey, Catrell starts off.
All right, so that game is going to feature, I think, arguably the two best running backs in the league with Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. And that's going to be a game that is going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Like,
Did you say arguably because you wanted to put Nick Chubb in that conversation above Dalvin Cook? I don't understand why you did that.
It's top 5 though.
I mean, top 2. That's what he said.
Did you say 2?
Yeah, top 2. Arguably top 2. You could argue Nick Chubb is the better back than
it'd be a bad
Dalvin
argument,
Cook.
but you can argue it.
He was the number 2 back in the league last year before Derrick Henry passed him up the last week of the season with yards.
I can't with any kind of good conscience say Nick Chubb's better than Dalvin Cook.
All right, I mean
he's top 5 though.
It's a homer. I like it. It's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, behind that offensive line last year, behind
you're hyping up the game. I get it.
Whatever. All right. Anyway,
sell it, Catrell, sell it.
Cleveland can't stop anybody. Tennessee can't stop anybody. Neither one of their offenses ever just look great consistently. But I think this is going to be a game where Tennessee's going to run up and down the field, and the Browns are going to run up and down the field just because of, the two-headed monster with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. It's a game. It's on the road. Cleveland's 8-3 now, so I feel like they got a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to like playoff contention and things like that. But it's a road game, and I mean, as much as I want to go with the Browns, I'm leaning towards Tennessee. But I mean, for the record, I got to go with the Browns. Like, I mean, it's just what I got to do.
That's such a softie.
Damn.
No, he said I'm leaning I'm leaning towards the Titans, but I'm going to pick the Browns because I'm a Browns fan. Don't say that. Say it with some bass, bro. Pick the Browns. They're going to win the game, right?
Nope. I'm not saying it.
That's my point. They're not going to win the game.
Who are you picking?
I'm picking
the
Browns.
Oh, he's picking the Browns.
I know,
picking the Browns.
Not with bass. He's like giving himself like, oh, it's my favorite
team. He doesn't have like a real bassy voice though.
I love you, Catrell. Shally, who you got in that game?
I got Tennessee. I think Tennessee kind of discovered their mojo last 2 weeks again. They're kind of back to where we thought they were like 4 or 5 weeks ago when we were saying they might go for the 1 or 2 seed, and then they fell on their faces for 2 weeks. Kind of got back to basics, and it's one of those things. Just feed Derrick Henry, and I mean the break.
I'm trying to think, what month of the year is it?
It's December.
Derrick Henry comes out in December, doesn't he?
Yeah. Derrick Henry likes to eat.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the Titans also. I think I agree with you on the fact that it's gonna go up and down the field, and I will break that down further because that is in one of my picks of the week.
So dramatic.
It is. When you're 21-6, you're allowed to be dramatic.
I will say this though, outside of Derrick Henry, I really don't like that Titans offense. Like
AJ Brown,
people are high.
AJ Brown, Corey Davis.
AJ Brown is good. AJ Brown is good, but I don't like their offense.
What don't you like about it?
I think Ryan Tannehill is. I mean, he's decent. He's
being
a game manager.
You antagonized them, and now like the real Homer's coming out.
I love it. So let's
but even
let's break it down versus Cleveland. Okay?
Even without playing the Browns, I don't love the Titans in their offense.
Let's break it down versus Cleveland.
Okay.
Tannehill's better than Baker.
Okay,
he is. Everyone agree there.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll take AJ Brown and Corey Davis over Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry.
That's
Beckham's not even playing.
And I'll
That's
take
insane.
Derrick Henry
That's
over
insane.
Nick Chubb.
That is insane. There's
That's
no
not.
way you're taking AJ Brown and
Have you
Corey
watched
Davis
AJ Brown?
over
Time out,
Odell
time out.
Beckham and Jarvis.
Yes.
There's no way. There's no way.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
There's no way.
I mean, it doesn't matter because Odell's not playing.
Right.
So like, I'll take AJ and Corey Davis against Landry and whoever the hell Cleveland's going to throw out there.
Which I would get that, but no, you're not taking those two over OBJ. And
I'll tell you why you
Jarvis.
can't, because Corey Davis has been an absolute bust until this year.
Okay. So let's just project next year, right? I'd be willing to bet my car that AJ Brown and Corey Davis next year have better years than Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. on the Browns.
Wait, go by what? Strictly numbers?
Yeah.
Whew, we might have to bet.
Like
I drive the
Odell Beckham has been on.
Listen.
Odell Beckham has been on a downside.
I'll put the Maserati in the garage.
Odell
Audi
Beckham-
be my daily driver.
Odell Beckham has been on the downside of his career. Jarvis Landry is not better than AJ Brown.
Better than Corey Davis, though.
And I guess this year, is he? I don't think he is this year.
See, this is like,
So my point
it's
being
taking
is,
this like huge shift
yo, and
this year,
AJ Brown is literally on the best ascent. Did you watch the touchdown he had the other week
AJ
where he
Brown-
broke like 3 tackles, bullied his way into the end
Yo,
zone?
we're not saying AJ Brown's not good,
No,
but
yeah.
AJ Brown's the best receiver of the 4. Period.
Oh,
Yeah.
He is.
That's where we disagree.
we hit a speed bump.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not. We're not. I'm telling you. Rams Cardinals, next game on the list.
All right. I like that. I like that one better.
Let's go with it. Rams Cardinals. Who you got, Catrell? I'll start with you.
I'm gonna roll with the Cardinals. The Rams are a team that I can't ever get too high on. Jared Goff is the biggest question mark ever, honestly. Like, 1 week he's really good, 1 week he's really bad. It's a division game, and if anybody can slow down that Cardinals offense, it's gonna be that Rams defense. But Kyler and company, I think, get it done, and it's going to be a close game. But I'm leaning towards the Cardinals that they're going to win the game.
Rams comfy.
Comfy. Okay.
Word of the day, comfy. The Rams are the other team that drive me up a wall. Every time I bet on them, they absolutely stink, and then I don't bet them the following week, and they look great. They looked terrible last week. I would say McVay is going to – I think you'll see a little bit of changes this week. I think McVay got a little bit away from what he likes to do, kind of like get the ball out of Goff's hands faster. They looked a lot like the Eagles last week. Like every time Goff dropped back, like Woods and Kupp were running like 80-yard routes, and it just doesn't work. My other reason for it is Kyler had a bad game Sunday. I know you disagree, but he didn't play well, and I also think he's hurt.
I don't disagree. I don't think he had a great game. I don't think he's his best game.
He didn't play good. It was a very average
that's
game.
Fair.
It was a very
average
game.
is fair.
Okay.
By the way, Arizona got robbed in that football game.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
Robbed.
I don't disagree with that.
That was a joke.
That was bad. That was the Belichick special.
That Isaiah Simmons personal foul.
It was terrible.
Yo, the best part of that, I don't know if you guys heard this, But like on the live broadcast, you could literally hear
Yeah.
the Cardinals screaming, "You just screwed us out of the game."
My big thing is Catrell kind of touched on it. They're gonna be able to get a lot of pressure on Kyler without blitzing, and Jalen Ramsey has really been the guy this year that he was 3 years ago in Jacksonville. You're gonna get him and D Hop all game.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
I think this is the most fun game to watch this week. You said it's comfy, so
Probably.
you're saying blowout.
Probably.
I think it'll be a
I
fun
don't think
game
I said
to watch.
comfy. I didn't say blowout. Blowout's like 20 points. Comfy's like 10.
10 never in question.
Yeah, comfy. But it's again, I think their defense plays a little bit better this week. I think he puts Goff in better positions to make easier plays, and I do agree with Catrell. He is. I mean, last week I watched the game with you Monday night. Like he did everything in his power to try to throw that game away to Tampa Bay. You just never know what you're going to get out of him, and that is when McVay kind of dumbs down the offense, and you're gonna see a lot of slants. You're gonna see a lot of like 10-yard patterns. I think they're gonna control the ball, and like I said, I definitely noticed it in the second half of the New England game. There was a couple times Kyler could have ran for like 30 yards and not been touched, and he wouldn't go. You saw him limping a little bit at the end of the game. I think he's a little banged up, and again with Aaron Donald and crew coming to town, that is not a good recipe for me.
I think it's a really fun game to watch. I think it's going to be an explosive game. I think it's going to be high scoring. It's in the desert. I don't think that Arizona just comes out and lays an egg, especially after that loss. I don't. I think it's going to be a very, very fun football game. If I had to pick the game, I would slightly lean Rams, and that's and the reason I lean Rams is because their defense is better, and I lose more and more confidence in my favorite coach in the NFL, Cliff Kingsbury, every week. I lose confidence in him every week. I'm friends with a couple Cardinals fans. The guy can't get out his own way. He just can't. And it's like you have so many. You have Christian Kirk. You have Andy Isabella. You have Larry Fitzgerald. You have Larry Fitzgerald's hurt last week. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You have Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds. They are loaded with weapons. You have the best young quarterback in football, not named Patrick Mahomes. I love watching that Cardinals team. I just hope that they make the right decision. I honestly got to root for them to lose some games because I need Cliff Kingsbury out of there. He's not going to lead. He's not going to get out of there. But my point being is,
I just say they could lose every game for the rest of the year. He's not getting fired.
I wish he did.
You got at least one more year with him.
I agree.
I do agree with you. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as maybe you think it is. Like you keep saying explosive. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be like a very physical, chippy game. It's a division game. They're both coming off a loss. If Cardinals win, that would even up their records out, actually.
Correct.
And everybody would 2 games full behind Seattle. So it's a big game for both teams.
I agree.
I do think that part of it will make it fun. I think it's going to be a lot of trash talk. I think it's going to be it's going to be a divisional game. It's in December when you're playing divisional opponents. It should be nasty, and I think you're going to get it.
In Arizona, it's never really nasty.
Not outside, but the football field is.
Any other comments on Cardinals, Rams? All right.
Comfy.
Bills 49ers. Bills at 49ers. So the fun part about this game is because I always go back to Boomer. One of my favorite, the fastest 2 minutes in sports, fastest 3 minutes in sports. For years he picked the Bills versus the 49ers.
Yep.
It's always fun when those two teams get together. I think it's actually setting up. I think if the game was in Buffalo, I think Buffalo rolls this game. But Bills at 49ers is setting up to be such a good football game. I'll start with this one. I think the 49ers find a way to win that football game.
Ooh.
I do. I think that the Buffalo Bills are for real. I think they're a very good football team. I think the 49ers are sniffing the chance that they get in the playoffs. They're getting more and more people back. They're getting healthier. I think it's a high-scoring game also, which I never pick. By the way, if you followed me for this entire, I'm all over unders. Under. Michael Robert Lafferty is hilarious on the wire line. Jordan Poyer, hands down, has the hottest wife in the NFL.
Mike.
That's great.
That is great.
But
everybody's going to Google it right now.
I like the 49ers in the game, and I think it's a high-scoring football game. I think that Josh comes to play, Josh Allen. I do. But I think it's going to be a very close last-second field goal, and I think the 49ers win the football game. Catrell.
I will say that you said if the game was in Buffalo that you'd give the edge to the Bills. I do agree with that. But, I mean, it's not really a home game for the Niners, though. They're going to be playing in Arizona, so it's going to be essentially a neutral site game. And I feel like, on a neutral field, as is, both teams, as is, Buffalo has the clear advantage. So I'm going to roll with them in that game. And
it's going to be sloppy field conditions, too, because they're going to play the day after Arizona plays.
And I get that, but it's
both teams have to. It's like playing on a golf course, bro.
Both teams have to play on the field, so it's not going to be an advantage for San Fran as opposed to Buffalo. With that said,
outside weather.
I'm not really feeling the San Francisco defense and them shutting down Josh Allen, that Buffalo Bills offense. I think it's going to be a game where, to steal Bill's words, I think, the Bills are going to win pretty comfy.
There it is. Listen, how do you open this segment with this game talking about Chris Berman and then not pick them?
What do you mean? Not pick the Bills?
Yes.
Because I don't think they're going to win. But I love.
What does Buffalo do, bro?
They circle the wagon.
Like nobody else.
Nobody circles the wagon.
Thank you.
Like the Buffalo Bills.
I'm picking Buffalo for the record. Comfy.
Whoa.
2 comfies in a row. I just think they're the better team. You're still gonna have Nick Mullins playing quarterback. I think you're putting a little too much stock into San. I think a lot of people are putting a little too much stock into San Fran's game last week, winning that game.
I picked them outright.
All right.
Outright.
And I do think playing in Arizona factors into it. I mean, that's a tough trip for Buffalo anyway. But San Francisco's pretty much just uprooted their entire team, and they're like, you have to live in Arizona for the next 3 weeks. So I don't know how the guys are going to be with that. I like Buffalo comfy. I think Buffalo's offense is just going to put too much pressure on that San Francisco defense for the duration of that game.
Wow. So both you guys are against me. I always love those games. I love them. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go over for a first time wire to wire. We are going to give our projections for the playoffs, AFC, NFC playoffs, and then our Super Bowl predictions. So I want your picks 1 through 7. We'll start with the AFC, the better of the two conferences.
All right. So now
it's clear.
I'll disagree.
It is,
there.
but you gave me crap when I said that the other day.
No, I didn't.
I said, I think hands down whoever comes out of the AFC is win the Super Bowl. You're like, you can't say that.
Well, on the show, I've said earlier, I said AFC is clearly a better conference. We talked about this 3 weeks ago. I think the AFC is clearly a better conference, but in one football game, if you're going to give Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, or Drew Brees in one football game, you can't just say that the Super Bowl doesn't matter. You said whoever wins the AFC Championship game, that's the Super Bowl winner. Declare them the Super Bowl winner. I said, I'll take 2.5 to 1 odds, is what I said. I'll take 2.5 to 1 odds on the NFC if that's the case. And if we can do that, that's fine.
That's fine.
But give me your 7, Catrell.
All right, before we even start that, I want to say that I think that the 7 are better than the other 7 who make the playoffs in the NFC, but I don't think that the AFC is hands down better than. I mean, your top 2, yeah. I mean, the Chiefs.
That's kind of what we were talking about as well. I think Kansas City and Pittsburgh are another level than anybody on the NFC. But go ahead. Give yours.
I think New Orleans is probably the only team in the NFC right now, and that's only because the way that their defense is playing right now.
It's the opposite of, and I agree with that. You said that before the show, and I 100% agree. It's the opposite of a normal New Orleans team.
Exactly.
Go ahead, give yours.
So my 7 for the AFC is going to be Chiefs, Steelers, Titans, Bills, Browns, Raiders, then the Ravens. Only reason why I'm going to go with the Chiefs to be the number 1 seed there is because I feel like Pittsburgh is going to lose one of those games that they're not really supposed to lose in the upcoming weeks. And that doesn't really happen. I mean, it happens to Pittsburgh every year. If you just look at the schedule week by week basis, you'd probably say, Pittsburgh should go undefeated. I just think they're going to slip up 1 or 2 games beforehand, and that's going to bump them down to that 2 seed. I don't see the Chiefs lose another game this season, and it's going to be tough for me not to even put them in the Super Bowl.
They'd
honestly,
have to lose a
but-
conference game, and I think they have to lose the division game, or they have to lose 2 games.
So
just to be clear, I
I was
think
going to say, so if Pittsburgh loses,
Pittsburgh, I think Gene's right.
division
Pittsburgh would have to
game?
drop 2 games for KC to go ahead of them.
so even if they lost the last game of the year to the Browns, I mean, homer pick obviously, but if they lost the last game of the
then
year
that
to the
would be
Browns,
a different. That'd be a 2 division.
Which
games.
which one's ranked higher, conference or division?
I think division.
both of them are
conference.
divisions though, because the
But see, I
Chiefs
feel
lost
like-
to the Raiders.
I see. Like,
They're both the same thing.
Probably.
We'd have to find out.
They probably
tiebreaker.
go by, like,
Somebody
point
on the wire
difference.
line
Michael,
post the tiebreaker.
Mike Lafferty, look that up for us. Because, well, see, it's the same though.
Yeah, it's still the same conference.
Because, well, same conference,
Same
but if they
conference,
lost
same
to
division.
Cleveland, it would still be the same because Kansas City lost
Correct.
to Las Vegas.
I want to know what the tiebreaker would be on top
That
of
might be a
Oh,
coin
that'd
flip.
be man.
No, it would probably be
It's
points or
point
point
differential
differential
or,
or something. No, I don't think.
or
that's-
no, I think it's a common opponent.
Yeah,
their record
common
against
opponents.
common opponents.
Do they
That's it.
have one? Lafferty, get
well,
on this.
Well, Kansas City would win that because the Steelers have played a pretty soft schedule. They played the NFC East. So the common opponents would.
All right, yeah. We're going to have to figure that out.
All right, so
All right, prepared.
that's your 7.
Yes, those are my 7.
Okay, I disagree with your 7. That's fine.
Ooh.
I'll give you my 7 in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have Pittsburgh in the 1 seed, Kansas City, Tennessee, Buffalo, Cleveland, Las Vegas. I have Indy at 7. I put Pittsburgh at 1 because I just, again, I do think they have to lose 2 games to come out of the 1 seed. I could be wrong on that, so if that is the case, then that would change. But
well, it depends what they lose.
I'm on record also saying I think they're going to go undefeated. So I don't think they're going to lose a game in the regular season.
Okay.
So I have them 1. I have Indy at 7 because I just think they're just a better overall team than Miami. Miami was my first team out. I think they're a better overall team than Miami. I think they have a better chance of
You got
maybe
Baltimore not even sniffing the playoffs.
no, they're out.
Got it.
They don't have a good schedule either. I'll tell you, I think they play. I think Cleveland's going to beat them in Cleveland. To be honest, they're just not playing well. And then I think Indy has a better chance of stealing a game on the road, maybe that they're not supposed to win, or we would look at it and think they're going to lose than Miami does. I think Miami could conceivably definitely lose 3, maybe 4 of their last 5. They have a very tough schedule for a young team that's not super explosive. That is my big thing with Miami. Their defense has overachieved this year, and they've played really well and kept them in a lot of games. I mean, but they only put up 20 on the Jets last week, and one of those they got the ball in like the 10. They're just not an explosive offense, and I just think when they really need points, it's a lot harder for them to get them than other teams.
Division winners we're locked in on. I have Pittsburgh, Kansas City.
Wait, read that.
As for standings, it's simply whoever has the best record overall will win the division. He's
That's not what we need,
talking
bro.
about-
All right, so I just looked it up. It looks
Thank
like
you.
there's 12 different scenarios, and looks like the first one that'll be possible between these two, it's going to go based on strength of schedule.
That's got to be Kansas City, though.
Yeah, Kansas City would win strength of schedule.
So if Pittsburgh, if they both go 15-1, and it
Well,
looks like it's
see,
going
I
to
don't
come
know
down to
now,
strength of
though.
schedule.
You got to
Kansas City's going to play New Orleans.
what?
They play Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but again, you're going to check the schedule based off record. I mean, they got to play Cleveland still. Like they're an 8-3 team. Like
They played the Titans already. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's probably gonna be closer than we think it is. Just go.
think-
I mean, we'll figure it out as we go.
I have Pitt, Kansas City, Tennessee, Buffalo. They're my division winners.
Yep, same for me.
Miami, Cleveland, Vegas.
So you've Miami the 5 seed.
Yes.
Wow.
So here's my that Miami defense. I waved a white flag 2 weeks ago, and they lost to Denver. Which, by the way, I bet on Denver, but that's not a game I picked on the show. But
I did.
I bet on Denver in that game over Miami. But I waved a white flag when I seen how for real that Miami defense was.
Very good.
And I'm gonna give you a look ahead game that I want you to remember me saying. Watch out for when Kansas City goes at Miami. Miami to upset Kansas City in that game.
What week is that? 16, 17?
I believe it's 15 or 16. Not week 17.
I mean,
Division
if
games are
if that game has any meaning, I just don't see how Kansas City goes there and loses.
Okay.
I just don't.
I think that Miami defense is legit. I have them 5. I have Cleveland 6, and I have Las Vegas 7.
So it looks like right now, I've been trying to look up and find these strength of schedule numbers and everything. So as for games played right now, the Chiefs have the 23rd toughest schedule, but the Steelers of games played have the easiest schedule played so far this season.
Correct.
Is that including today's game?
I do not. Let's see.
I would say
nope, it's not. It's not including today's game.
So that gap's going to close a little bit after today.
But of games remaining left, the Chiefs have the 19th hardest schedule, and the Steelers have the 20th hardest schedule.
That's going to be
so
razor tight.
If they both win out, it's looking like the Chiefs are going to have a slight advantage.
Well, if they both win out.
Well, they both go 15-1 is what I mean.
Yeah.
Well,
that'll be fun.
I have the Ravens also outside the playoffs, which is somewhat bold, but
I don't think it is. I mean, they're what? They're 6-6 after today, or 6-5.
They are.
So Jimmy Lipinski on the wireline said
6-5.
Vegas KC first round matchup would be a dream scenario as a Steelers fan. He's a Steelers fan because Las Vegas is the only team to give KC problems this year. I think that's the first round matchup. I really do. I think the Raiders are your last wild card, and I think the top team that's not.
That would be if we go off yours, you'd have two division that because Miami would go to Buffalo.
Yeah, that'd be a great one. See, I got the best games. Cleveland, Tennessee again
in Buffalo. in Buffalo, I like Buffalo a lot.
Yeah,
and in KC, in like the middle of January, yeah, I'll take KC and all the points.
All right, NFC.
NFC.
Start with Catrell again.
You want me to go?
Yeah,
all right.
Of course.
So I got Saints 1,
same order.
Packers 2, Seahawks 3, football team 4, Rams, Bucks, Cardinals to round out the wild card.
3 NFC West teams.
I am the same. I go Green Bay 1, only because I don't think Green Bay loses a game for the rest of the year. So I don't think New Orleans. They need New Orleans needs them to slip up to catch them.
No, New Orleans is 1 right now. They may have 2 losses.
What's Green Bay 3?
3.
Yeah, all right. Same scenario. I don't think Green Bay loses a game for the rest of the year.
New Orleans could lose this Sunday.
I was literally just going to say that I wouldn't be surprised if New Orleans goes to Atlanta and loses Sunday. Literally the reason I think they sat Julio too. I have Seattle 3, football team 4, I have Tampa Bay 5, I have the Rams 6, and I have the Cardinals at 7.
So I have the exact same order as Catrell. The exact same order. I have NOLA 1, Green Bay 2, Seattle 3, football team 4, Rams, Bucks, Cardinals in that order. I have the exact same order. I have 3. So let's just for fun, for like a fun kind of question to go around. Is the NFC South the best division in football? NFC West the best division of football? Is the NFC South competitive? Is the AFC anything competitive?
I would say the NFC South's not. I mean, everyone wants to make that argument because Tampa Bay's in it, but New Orleans beat them twice, and the rest of the division stinks. So
the NFC West clearly the best division of football, right?
It would have to be for me.
Sure as hell not the NFC East. I'll tell you that much.
All 4 teams in the NFC West are very good.
Yeah.
Even the 49ers.
East.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because
I feel like the only other argument would be the AFC North, but the Bengals stink. So,
yeah.
I would go with the West.
Clearly. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's have a fun little debate. Who's your Super Bowl prediction? And who wins? Give me your Super Bowl prediction and who wins.
I still haven't decided.
All right. Well, I'm not going to really shock anybody here. I'm not going with any, wild cards or anything like that.
The Browns?
I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New Orleans Saints in the Super Bowl. And I got Pat Mahomes going back to back. I mean, that Chiefs team they're going to be tough to stop. I don't know if anybody has the formula yet. John Gruden did, but it's one of those division games. You got a lot of tape on them. You can study them hard and things like that. But in the playoffs, when it counts, I'm putting my money on Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Before I go, does Cleveland win a playoff game?
Depends on who they go against.
Well, in your seedings, who are they going against?
I say because I would have them against
Buffalo.
Going to Buffalo.
I think they could beat Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
Yep.
Ooh, it's a hard no for me.
The one reason why I say that is the Browns are used to, it's probably going to be terrible weather in Buffalo. And I think the Browns are more suited to playing bad weather than what the Bills are going to be.
Oh, no.
Buffalo weather and Cleveland weather are the same weather.
No. I know it's not the same weather, but I'm saying it's going to be cold, maybe some snow. Josh Allen's not going to just throw the ball around the yard in that weather.
He has though.
I don't in the playoffs. I don't think so.
See that literally it comes down to me. Like I think it comes down to who's ever quarterback plays better, and there's no shot I'm taking Baker Mayfield over
That's
Josh
fair,
Allen.
but I think in that game though, Kevin Stefanski's not going to have Baker Mayfield doing a whole lot. It's going to be a lot of Nick Chubb and a lot of Kareem Hunt.
Very plausible. I disagree. I think the Cleveland Browns do not win a football game.
Agreed. Not if they get Buffalo.
No, I don't think they get Tennessee either. I haven't played in Tennessee. No, they don't win a football game. They don't win a playoff
Because
game.
they're sure as hell not beating Pittsburgh or Kansas City.
I'll wear this damn jersey again and they win a playoff game. Not happening.
All right, I'll remember that.
Please do.
It's on tape.
I mean, you don't have to remember it. I'm
Nope.
a man of my word.
What are you taking?
Oh, you're going last?
Yeah, because I think I'm just
Fair.
I think I'm
I
gonna
have the answer.
go ahead.
Chiefs over Packers.
Okay.
I have the Chiefs beating the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers gets the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be one of the most fun Super Bowls you'll ever get to watch. You're going to get to watch Rodgers work his surgical arms.
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is unbelievable with Devontae Adams. What they're going to do to the Eagles this week, I feel terrible. But whatever. I have the Chiefs beating the Packers in a very entertaining Super Bowl. In a Super Bowl that makes us forget about 2020 and welcomes us into 2021 in a way better fashion.
I mean, it'll be in 2021, but
Obviously, they'll make us forget about 2020. That was the. Come on, bro. Are you serious?
yeah, bro.
Maybe it'll be in 2021. Who knows what's
True.
going to happen?
I think it'll be in 2022.
They might shorten the season, and
They're not having a
maybe-
Super Bowl in 2 weeks from now. Get out of here.
I'm just saying it'd be.
They actually asked Goodell today at halftime if he had any plans of doing that. He
I
said
saw
no.
that.
I do think they're going to go playoff bubbles, though. I think they have to.
That would kill home field advantage.
How so?
Because if you're doing playoff bubbles.
No, you have to bubble the players.
Oh, I got it.
So if you're supposed to go to Green Bay, you're still going to Green Bay, but you're gonna have to you're gonna be bubbled for the week before. You're not going home.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, you can't reschedule playoff games like that. So
Yep.
it's going to get to the point your three quarterbacks are all sick.
Oh, wow.
Too bad. Either go up and get smoked or forfeit. Those are your options. All right, so I'm gonna go just for fun. I'm gonna go against the grain with this a little bit. I have Green Bay coming out of the NFC. It's very close. I think that game's going to be in Green Bay.
Jimmy Lipinski, pay attention.
What does that? Oh, I think Rodgers gets it done. I think Rodgers beats Breeze in Green Bay. I do have pause on it because again, I do think New Orleans is going to be able to slow him down a little bit. That is also a weather dependent game. But I'm going to stick with Green Bay because if push comes to shove and they have to run the ball, I'll take Aaron Jones over. Kamara's not a guy you're going to give him 30 carries a game. He's just not that guy. So I'll take Jones, I'll take Adams, and I'll take Rodgers over Breeze. For the AFC, I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh.
Yep, that's why I said Jimmy, pay attention.
I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh.
Our Steelers fan listening, and I promised him something. Yeah, give me your Pittsburgh line.
That game's the weather's not gonna matter. I mean, it's freezing cold in Kansas City, and so weather's not. I don't see weather being a factor. I really broke this down how you break down games. I think the difference between KC's defense and Pittsburgh's defense is bigger than between the two offenses. I think it's going to be easier for Pittsburgh to score on KC than KC to score on Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh gets just enough stops in that game to squeak out and win that game. And I think Pittsburgh goes and plays Green Bay. And it's going to hurt my soul. I will pick Pittsburgh to win the Super Bowl.
So you basically have predicted Pittsburgh to have the undefeated season.
Yeah, in hindsight, yeah.
That's what you did?
Yeah.
I just want to make it clear on record. He is saying this Steelers team is the greatest football team ever.
I didn't say that at
No
all.
step on the
champagne
field.
for the Dolphins this year. That 72 Dolphins team.
No, they might have to wait a little bit this year.
So I wanted to touch on something before we do pick 'em. We all gave our predictions. One of the things I promised to a friend of mine I would do is because I honestly couldn't believe it. Listen, I'm not a Pittsburgh fan. I'm not a Steelers fan at all. What's happening to them this year is unfair.
Agreed.
It's extremely unfair. They lost their bye week. It's extremely unfair how they get constantly tossed around because of other teams' COVID protocols. I honestly think that we can talk about how bad their strength of schedule is. They play the NFC East, and they're playing the AFC South, which I believe is the worst of the 4 divisions. Maybe the AFC East. It's very close. But I think it's completely unfair what's happening to them. They need that 1 seed, and they need it. Because if they don't get that 1 seed, they're going to have a bye week all year.
I agree, and again, that's that was my one thing. Like before, I think Cleveland's pretty safe. I think Cleveland gets to 10 wins. I think there's no shot they miss the playoffs. But we talked about this a couple weeks ago. That's their last game is Cleveland at Pittsburgh, and I said I could see that being a game where they might trip up if that's like Cleveland's season on the line, and Pittsburgh's really not playing for anything. But I don't see it now. I mean, they played today, and now I believe they're pushed to Tuesday next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, even coming off they're not going to have
they're Monday. Baltimore got lucky and got pushed to Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so Baltimore.
It's a joke.
Baltimore's the one that screwed everything up, and then they get the benefit of the doubt and
Correct.
get pushed to Tuesday and get all their players back for a game against Dallas, which is
Correct.
bullshit. Goodell's handling this like this is almost like something Rob Manfred would do, like the whole COVID thing. Like, you want these teams to start taking stuff seriously and have these guys not going out. Make one of these teams forfeit a goddamn game.
And not get game checks.
Yep. Then all of a sudden, you know what? You know where the accountability comes from? It comes from inside the locker room then. Like, you know what, dude? I don't care how much money you make. Don't be going to the strip club tonight. Don't be bringing COVID back in the locker room tomorrow. You know what I mean? You do that, that's when it happens. But instead, Baltimore, and he did the same thing with Tennessee. He made everybody switch everybody to Tennessee, and Tennessee never got punished. Like, Tennessee had damn near 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, well, like, yeah, they're not. I was like, all right, well, yeah, they're not practicing, but they're not on the field playing games and getting people hurt and anything else either. In a season like this, it matters.
As much as I hate to admit it, Pittsburgh's definitely getting the short end of the stick, with COVID and everything that's going on with how Goodell is handling everything. But I will say that as much as I know some of them wanted to play on Thanksgiving, I think it was probably better for them to actually, maybe not this long because now you're going into a short week next week, but it was probably nice for them to have, not to play a game until, how many days they have off? Like 10?
No. Because if they would have played the game on Thanksgiving, they would have kicked the shit out of Baltimore worse than they did. It screwed Shally's pick, because if they played them last Thursday, that game was not going to be close.
Right.
Now, they would have had off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Or no, they would have played Thursday versus Dallas. No, they wouldn't. No, they would have been off until Sunday.
No, that was like their.
They would have had a week and a half. They would have basically got their second bye.
Yeah, that was their 10-day break. And then not only that, now they got pushed to Monday, so it's technically 3 weeks because they're going to play next Monday now, and then you're still going to a short week to go back Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So it's 3 weeks, and then Baltimore gets an extra day to play a shitty Dallas team, and they push it a day enough that Lamar and all those guys will be able to come off the COVID list and play. But I just don't understand. And then the reasoning is, but then you made Denver go play with a wide receiver as a quarterback off the practice squad. And again, you can't say it's anything other than bias. Like, well, Baltimore's good. We don't want to screw their season, but Denver's already out, so screw them.
Pretty much.
Like it's bullshit.
That's what happened, though.
It is exactly what happened.
It's disheartening, but. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, just to be clear, I think the Steelers go 15-1. I think the Chiefs go 14-2.
Where do you think the loss is for Pittsburgh? Just curious.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't think they're an undefeated team.
I just didn't know if you looked at the schedule and you were like,
that's
the trip up game.
I have, but I feel like there's a lot of them that could be.
They do have Buffalo. Buffalo is one of their like last 2 or 3 games.
Isn't it? Is that in Pittsburgh?
It's in Pittsburgh.
No, it's at Buffalo.
Oh, it is at Buffalo. Well, there you go.
Give me their schedule.
So they're at home next week against Washington.
Nope.
Win.
They are on the road against Buffalo.
Maybe.
Okay.
They are on the road against Cincinnati.
Nope.
Win.
They are at home against Indianapolis.
Win.
and then they are on the road against Cleveland.
So they finished at Cleveland. All right.
15-1. They win that game at Cleveland if they need it.
You think Buffalo?
Yeah, Buffalo would be my pick then.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
So
that'd be a good game.
let's get into our picks. Pick them. So I'm 21-6 gonna go last right now.
Okay.
Flex it up.
Let me go first because I know you guys aren't really listening to my NFL picks anyway. So
Really quick. Hold on. I swear I'm listening to your picks. Two things. Matt Hughes. We're wearing we're wearing the Browns jersey on the wire line.
Oh, for sure.
We lost the Cleveland Browns lost to beat the Eagles, and we made a bet on the show. Catrell was not here last week, so we wanted to do it we wanted to do it with him here and be able to take a picture or two afterwards of us wearing the Browns jerseys to be able to put on the wire to wire Facebook page and Twitter page. That's why we're wearing it. Toxic Mike, do me a favor. You put a comment up a little while, maybe not even 2-3 minutes ago. Drove me nuts. It was a really good question. I wanted to get to it, and I forgot what it was.
Was it the Rookie of the Year?
Yes, the Rookie of the Year. Let's talk about that before we pick them, just real quick.
Okay.
For NFL?
Yes.
Okay.
Because now Joe Burrow's out, and Justin Herbert's been the last couple weeks.
He really hasn't been
He was at Miami.
Justin Herbert was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Said
it 5 weeks ago.
Rookie of the Year, Jefferson, Claypool, Herbert.
Herbert plays the harder position.
I think it's Herbert, hands down at this point.
Might be unanimous.
I don't think it'll be unanimous. I think it's Herbert also.
All right.
Who do you think is that number 2 guy?
Justin Jefferson.
Okay, that's fair.
Which makes me sick to my
say
stomach.
that too.
I don't want to get into it. We went the whole show without getting into it.
I told you guys that he could be more than just a slot receiver, but we won't.
Who
we won't get into
you act
it.
like we're on that boat.
No. Me and Gene had the conversation.
Were you
before
against
the season?
it?
So I wasn't
no.
against it. I had Justin Jefferson ranked.
Actually, we talked about this on draft night on the phone.
Yeah, I had Justin Jefferson ranked below Jalen Reagor.
Oh my god!
I did.
That's right. You did. You did.
And I also I live by that. That's not something I'm.
Call you Howard Jr.
I don't know. If Justin Jefferson's clearly better than Jalen Reagor. I don't.
Really?
I have to see the Eagles with an offensive line and him to have some time to develop with his quarterback.
All right, so we're never going to answer this.
We'll
just leave this incomplete.
I mean, to be fair though, that's a lot of guys though. You can say a lot of guys got put in a bad situation where we don't know what their real potential could have been. You know what I mean? So I don't think.
But watching both of them last year, I thought that. So, Jalen Reagor had a really terrible quarterback his junior year, his last year in college.
Okay.
At TCU. The year before, he put up very, very similar numbers to Justin Jefferson. He was clearly projected to be a top wide receiver taken. He put on weight to bulk up for whatever reason, he bulked up for the combine and ran a slower 40 than what he actually ran. On his pro day, he ran a 4.29. I haven't seen that 4.29 speed this year. I really haven't. He doesn't look like he's clearly faster than everyone in the NFL. But watching him at TCU,
Big 12 defense, bro.
Yeah. Could have fooled me. I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. But let's go into a segment where I'm not really wrong a lot. Good segue right there.
Sure.
Pick them. Go ahead, Catrell. Give me your 3 so everybody can fade them at home.
All right, so I'm going to go with Buffalo on the road against San Fran at 1.5 points.
Oh, you like them that much?
I do.
I love San Fran even more now.
Buffalo is just, I like the quarterback more. I like their defense more. I just like the team more. And I think essentially on a neutral field, I'll take Buffalo on that one.
Okay.
I like Seattle at -10 against the Giants, against their backup quarterback. Seattle didn't play great against the Eagles, but they still found a way to win. I think this is going to be a game where Seattle has to they have to win this game. I think they have to do it somewhat convincingly just because that the Rams and the Cardinals game is going to be going on this week. So they don't want, one of them to gain ground on them. I think they want to keep that lead comfy over there in the
a huge swing
NFC
for them,
West.
Though. If they win that game and Arizona wins that game somehow, they'd be 2, and I don't know who holds tiebreakers, but they're at least 2 complete games clear at that point down that division.
Okay.
And then my last game is going to be the under with the Chargers versus the Patriots. The Patriots defense has been playing really well lately, and Justin Herbert's a rookie, and Bill Belichick's he's going to throw a lot of different things at Justin Herbert, and he might not know exactly what's going on out there. And so I really like the under in that one.
What's the over-under in the game, like 24?
47.5.
47, Jesus Christ.
Go ahead, Shally.
No, I like the pick. I can't believe it's that high. I'm rolling with my Steelers. Not my Steelers, but
Yeah, bro, say it. Say it with some bass. That's your Steelers.
My Steelers, 8.5. Kenny holding the picks for you, bud. Taking them. I'm also taking Seattle. I had them at 9.5 when I looked at it earlier. And then I'm taking Tennessee -6 to cover. I mean, we talked about it earlier, and Tennessee's another one. I think it's comfy.
Okay, so I have my non-sexy pick, which has been hitting my over/under. You guys have been following me. I'm all about the under this year. I've been hitting the unders all year. I'm picking it over this week. Browns versus Titans. I'm taking over 52. And I'll tell you why I'm taking over 52. Because Baker Mayfield actually looks decent when he has time in the pocket. And I think that the Tennessee pass rush is unbelievably bad. So I think that and if you watch Jacksonville, Mike Lennon went up and down the field versus Cleveland last week. It was embarrassing. So I just think both defenses just don't really play to the other against the offense's strength. So I think that the over 52 in Browns Titans. I like the Raiders to bounce back. They're one of my playoff teams. I like them to bounce back. They're playing the New York Jets, and I think that they're going to be pissed off after the beating they just took versus Atlanta. It's a 7.5-point spread. I think John Gruden's going to have a great week of practice with those boys. And I think that Vegas goes into New York and beats a team that's trying to lose by more than 7.5.
I was almost going to pick that. My only problem with it just, and I don't know, it wasn't a problem. I just got off of it. It's they went all the way home and then they have to go all the way back to New York. It's just a real short, hectic week.
Yeah, but they're playing a SEC team.
It's like an ACC team, but good. I agree.
And then my last pick, and I'm glad you brought up the over/under, and it's the Chargers versus New England game because I love the Chargers this week. I think Cam Newton stinks. I think they got he does. He stinks. I think Cam Newton stinks. I think they got a ridiculous, awful call win, and I think the Chargers can move the football. I think the Patriots cannot, and I think that the Chargers are going to win that game by double digits over the Patriots.
I like it.
Can you put up D. Godfrey? Did you see that?
I did.
D. Godfrey on the wire line. San Francisco is a lock. Take the money line. It's basically what's the spread in the game?
1.5.
Yeah, it's basically money.
Pick 'em.
I like San Fran in that game. I do. It's not one of my picks, but I like San Fran in that game. 21-6. Let's see if we can go 24-6. What's the percentage on that? 21-6. Where am I sitting right now? That's 21 out of 27.
It's like 70%.
I think it's higher than 70. I think it's like high 70.
Oh, no, it would be,
7-9. So what?
Yeah,
21-6.
So if you were 21-7, you'd be 75%.
Oh, Michael Robert Lafferty brought something up pretty funny. On the wire line, what are your thoughts on the Eagles going for 2 and screwing bettors who took Seattle -6.5? A lot of pissed off people. I want to comment on that.
I did. I think I commented on yours. I watched it yesterday. Okay.
Portnoy, Barstool, Portnoy, hilarious. If you haven't seen it, go on the Wire to Wire Facebook page and watch Dave Portnoy, who had the Seahawks -6.5. I don't really have comments on it. I just think Doug is just silly. I don't think that had anything to do with the bet, and I don't think he really knew. I just think that he's just oh shucks, we're gonna just score another point. I just
he's literally getting me to the point where I'm gonna start throwing remotes around my room. I just it's so frustrating.
It is. All right, let's move to so
look at us. We're on time.
Before we move to you, got to be kidding me.
Okay,
we're gonna do this one more. Well, no, it's just real quick. Statement Games is sponsoring Pick'em again this week, and they're offering a $50 gift card. And I'm making an executive decision right now for Nick.
Wait, time out. Whatever happened to the other one?
Nobody called in the show 2 straight weeks.
We didn't do it the last week though.
We did 2 straight weeks.
All right.
Nobody called in a show. But I'm making an executive decision because I don't like Nick. I know you're listening. It's an executive decision made by Gene Walzak. All right. So you don't have to call in the show next week. You beat the host. You're going to be raffled. We'll raffle it on the show. If you win, it'll be put up on our Facebook page. And Nick will send you a $50 NFL gift card if you win. We're going to put it on our Facebook page. Just comment, and that'll be that. Listen, we'll do our show picks. I will add a $50 Amazon card to that to make it $100 total. StatementGames.com. You got to beat the host this week. You're not beating us this week. Not a lot of people are going to beat us. So there'll be a small list. So make it 150. All right. So Nick just said 150. So we're going to do what? $100. You got a comment, Nick. $100 NFL gift card and 50 Amazon. Or are we doing 100 Amazon, 50 NFL gift card? Let us know. We'll put it on the Facebook. Get on statementgames.com and beat the host this week. And you're not going to. I'm going to make.
Shally Gene giving away money.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Let's do our. You got to be kidding me now. I'll start with College Catrell. Give me yours.
So we touched on it a little bit earlier. I'm going to go with Roger Goodell. For me, it's just really crazy that this whole week we've just been kind of thrown around everywhere between the Broncos and their quarterback situation, and then this Ravens-Steelers game getting postponed on Tuesday, then it got moved to Wednesday. And I just don't get why Roger Goodell. So I'm okay with, him moving the game back. I understand, the whole COVID situation. But the Broncos literally did not have one active quarterback to play their game against the Saints. At least move it back one day where they can kind of figure out an option. They had to move up a practice player receiver who played a little bit of quarterback in college to play in that game. And I get it, the Broncos aren't in the thick of the playoff picture. But had they somehow won that game against the Saints and their backup quarterback and Taysom Hill starting, they would have had at least a glimmer of hope to make some sort of playoff push. And I just didn't really like how, Roger Goodell handled that situation. And I really think the Broncos really got the short end of the stick on that one. So Roger Goodell.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Shally?
You want me to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going with Kirk Herbstreit, which was not my original one, but after his dumb stuff he pulled last night, I'm going with Kirk Herbstreit. So, anybody who doesn't know who Kirk Herbstreit is, he's one of the co-hosts of ESPN Game Day every morning, or every Saturday morning. Been on the show forever. Up until yesterday, I would say he's always been really good. Somebody, I read a comment, somebody's like, you can't, Ohio State fans don't back him because half the Ohio State fans hate him too. So he makes a comment on air during the ranking show last night, pretty much implying that Michigan was not going to play the last game of the year because it would screw Ohio State. So I said this earlier. Everybody knows what the outcome of that game is going to be. They're going to play. Ohio State's going to win. They're just a better football team. I have no problem admitting that. You can bag on Jim Harbaugh for not doing a good coaching job this year, or the last couple years, whatever you want to do, that's fine. The dude was very important in the process of getting Big Ten football back on for this year. He was actually the first coach publicly to come out and go against the Big Ten's decision. Ryan Day jumped on shortly thereafter, and we went down the path of it became a lot of pressure because the two biggest coaches in the conference wanted to play football. So to imply on air last night that the kids were going to quit or say they were sick on purpose or Jim Harbaugh was ducking Ohio State is a coward statement. But as an analyst, if you want to make it that your opinion, you could have formed it that way. He didn't do that. My real gripe with him is he then got lit up on Twitter from not only Michigan fans, from Alabama fans, there was a bunch of Clemson fans, there was a bunch of even Penn State fans, all sticking up for Harbaugh. He then records this 3-minute video, all emotional in his comfy basement in Nashville, saying how his statement lacked integrity and blah, blah, blah. You had no intentions of ever apologizing until you got all the hate on Twitter. You're a coward for your statement. I don't like you anymore. You're not my favorite analyst on ESPN Game Day anymore.
Oh, God.
Exactly. And I'm done.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
All right, so I had a lot of people to choose from this week, and after that Eagles Seahawks game on Monday night, it could have been a lot. Could have been a lot of people. Could have been Doug. Could have been the Eagles offensive line. Could have been Carson. Could have been a lot of things. Mine's a weasel. Mine is Howie Roseman. He's a weasel, and after watching that football game and watching DK Metcalf torch the Eagles with Darius Slay, who I think did a decent job trying to stick him.
He didn't play bad.
He didn't. And, I could have been Jim Schwartz with the Megatron comments and with DK. It could have been a lot of people. But Howie Roseman, watching that, why Jay Jaw was not active. Was he active for the game?
No, it's the third week in a row he's been active.
Not active. Well, you still trot out Alshon Jeffrey, who doesn't try.
He catches, though.
For Jalen Hurts. You sat up there with your binoculars. I can't stand that. Listen, Howie Roseman, you are by far you've got to be kidding me. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. You need to give up the drafting rights and stick it to your contracts and your nerdery, because that's what you are, okay? You're not a football guy. You've never been a football guy. Stop trying to pretend you're a football guy. Stop trying to outthink the room. Stop trying to be smarter than people. Give up your drafting rights. You shouldn't be drafting. The Eagles' draft picks over the last 3 years have been pathetic. Howie Roseman.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Any final statements on the show? Very good week 8.
Real quick, I just wanted to throw in that it is believed that Bud Dupree tore his ACL today and he's going to be out for the rest of the year. Does that change your opinion on Pittsburgh at all?
I mean, it hurts.
I still have him as the one seed, so I'm not changing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would change anything. I think it's just a matter of he's out. They're going to get Bush back, and they'll be healthy. I mean, that's a big loss. I mean, he's having a hell of a year. It makes it a little easier to block TJ. So we'll see.
Any final comments?
No. Just hope everybody has a good week. And
I have one, and I just want to thank everybody. Even with Thanksgiving week, we still we had a very successful show last week. Over 3,200 views on Facebook. I really appreciate all the people that have downloaded us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher. I mean, we're anywhere. We're everywhere. I really appreciate all the support and love, the shares, the likes. It means the world to us. So on that note, thank you for listening tonight, and thank you for everything you guys do for the show. Week 8, we're signing out.